All right, all right. We are back. Happy New Year's Eve, everybody. For those of you who don't have as many kids as I do and will be partying tonight, good for you. I will be in bed by 8, most likely. I just want to wish everybody a happy new year. I hope that 2024 was as good for you as it was for me. We've got a great show for you today. Steve Strazza in the house from Connecticut, not from Key West. I am in the usual studio. Spencer Israel, the voice of God, is who knows where. I think he's in Michigan. I'm not even sure, but let's hit it. We got a lot to talk about. All right, all right. It's the JC and Strazza show. No Spencer Israel.
Yeah, this has been fun. I did Chart Request Live yesterday.
How about that?
All right. So 2024 coming to a close.
Was it as good for you as it was for me?
Look, it's been a good bull market in general. It's been a good 2 years.
I've been having kids every 2 years. It broke the trend, right? So I went 2020, skipped the year, had 2 more kids 2022.
Yeah.
Skipped the year. I was due this year. No mas. The machine is over. No more kids. Oh, it's nice.
Really?
I love my kids. I don't need any more though.
All right. Yeah. Hey, you've done well. You've done well and efficient with the twins.
I know. I'm good at what I do. What can I tell you? We're going to get into the state of the markets now in a second, but how about the fact that there isn't a single Wall Street firm that thinks the S&P 500 falls next year?
Yeah, Jeff DeGraff and the guys over at RenMac have been doing a lot of work on this. You're hearing more and more about it just over the past couple of days, but it seems like we're positioned in a different kind of offsides way than we were maybe coming into last year or the year before.
And 2 years ago, for sure. 2 years ago, it was consensus that the stock market, that the S&P 500 was actually going to fall.
Yeah.
From sell-side analysts. Not only did the S&P 500 not fall, it was 2 of the greatest years in American history, really. So they couldn't have been more wrong. The fact that there aren't any Wall Street firms that think that the S&P 500 is going to fall next year, is that unusual, though?
You know, I wonder if kind of we went from one extreme to another for that reason. Like if they all chased it much higher because everybody was so behind. But regardless, it's not a bullish data point.
It's not a bullish data point, but I don't know how much emphasis to put on it for a couple of reasons. First of all, it's the negative sentiment that's usually a much better indication. And this is positive sentiment. So from a timing standpoint, not the best. And number 2, I don't think it's that unusual for Wall Street to be relatively optimistic. Not crazy optimistic, but relatively optimistic. You are looking at, so let's see, we're just under 6,000 right now on the S&P 500. Do I have that right? Yeah, we're just under 6,000 on the S&P 500. If you want to throw up slide 2, and then we'll get into the state of the markets there, guys. This comes from Ed Yardini. And we're looking at Oppenheimer's looking for 7,100 next year. That's the largest target. Wells Fargo up there at 7,000 as well.
Shout out Ari Wald.
Shout out Ari Wald with that Oppenheimer call there.
Awesome.
I don't know. We got to ask Ari. I don't know how much weight he specifically has on this target, or is it 100%? Is it nothing? Is it somewhere in between? Do you know? I don't know.
I don't know. But that's probably true.
I don't know how that works. So what is your consensus here? Don't worry about it.
What is JC Parets' price target is my question. Where would you fall in here?
It'd be an outlier. It'd be a picture of a moon, right? It'd be JC Parets moon, right? That's how it would be. I thank the Holy Lord every morning when I wake up that I don't have to play these shenanigans, where, the people on the basic cable prance around, the sell side analysts, and make a whole, it's a marketing gimmick at the end of the day.
Right.
And not for nothing, to their credit, it's a cheap marketing gimmick because it don't cost nothing other than the returns for their investors, but that's not anything they're interested in anyway. Let's be serious. And it doesn't cost anything, and the traditional media helps them with this marketing gimmick, right, at the expense of viewers and investors. Fine, that's not their job. Their job is to get people to watch things. So you know what? Good for them. Good for them. Good cheap marketing, right?
Okay. How about give the people a price target for Q1?
Me?
Yeah.
S&P 500 price target Q1.
Yep. We're up
6,300.
So 6,300 from here at about
300 points. End of Q1. So that means we can go higher. We can come back. 6,300 is probably a good call right there.
So we're at 59.74 today. 6,300 by March. 5-6%. All right. Sure. I like that.
But I think it's possible. Just looking back at some old price targets here. I'm looking at the 2023 year-end targets as forecasted in December of 2022. Not a single consensus was that the prices were going to fall. I'm looking back to 2021. I mean, you can go back a decent amount here. You can go back to 2020. All right. Like I said, number one, I don't think it's that unusual that Wall Street is optimistic, relatively optimistic. And I don't think that the timing on extreme bullishness is great. It's more the pessimism that stood out 2 years ago, right?
Yeah.
All right. Why don't we do a little state of the markets there, Mr. Israel?
I got some charts.
All right. We got the Dow futures this morning up 0.25%, 110 points, 43,000 for the Dow. S&P 500 futures just a tad under 6,000, up 0.33% this morning, 59.80, just under 6,000. Nasdaq 100 futures up 0.33%. That's 76 handles, 21,500. 30-year bond futures up again, up 0.25%, back above 114. You got crude oil flat today at 71. You got copper down 1.5%, just above 4. Gold up 0.33%, 26.26. Silver down 0.25%, 29 and change, holding under 30. That's interesting. With the volatility index back down under 17. Over in funny money land, Bitcoin ripping this morning up 3% to the upside for the BTC. That puts it at 95,500. You got Ethereum up almost 2% on the day, 3,400 and change. Solana up 2%, 195. Binance back to 710. Up almost 4% on the day. Total crypto market cap, ladies and gentlemen, Mr. Spencer Israel, 3.25 trillion, with the Bitcoin dominance back towards 58. What stands out this morning from the futures?
You see where they're buying the Bitcoin, though?
Do I see where they're buying the Bitcoin? At support? At potential support?
Yeah.
Clearly turning into support?
I think it is support. So,
well, the market just proved that, right?
Here, throw the chart. I just dropped the chart in the chat. I can't get into the deck for some reason. So this is the VWAP anchored from the post-election candle. So that would be November 6th. It's also, JC, it's extra important from a VWAP anchoring standpoint because it also represents the breakout candle, right? Which is always worth anchoring to as well. So this was whatever it was, 8-month consolidation, sideways pattern. We get the breakout. That's the candle, right? That we broke out on. So you could anchor there for that reason too. Anyway, it's held in, and they tested it. They tested it real good yesterday during the normal session, and they shook it right to like fresh multi-week lows, and now buyers are stepping in. So I think this is an absolutely crucial level where buyers need to show up and hold this support level. You don't want this to be a little tactical top. You don't want Bitcoin heading back to retest this consolidation breakout zone around whatever it was, 72. You want it to hold in here, and buyers are showing up where they needed to, at least for now. So I think that is incredibly constructive.
Do you need to see the dollar rolling over for this to work into January and Q1?
No, you don't need to. I'm talking about Bitcoin holding support, right? Not ripping higher. So no, this doesn't have much to do with the dollar for now. They gotta show up here, and they are.
All right, can you throw up slide 4, please? This is the United States dollar index.
Hmm.
All right, so here we're looking at dollar index futures. This is whipsaw hunting season, as we like to call it around here. You know, this goes back to times, just go back over the last decade. Look at large cap growth stocks, these big tech stocks going into last year. So 2 years ago exactly, we were already 6 months into the new bull market, and everything was working except for large cap growth stocks that kept selling off into the end of 22, then
Yep.
absolutely ripped in 23 to the point where people convinced themselves that it was only those stocks going up because they were doing that well. I mean, just think about that. We've seen it before in precious metals. We've seen it in United States Treasury bonds. Precious metals at the end of 2015, that last whipsaw ripped into 16. At the end of 2013, U.S. Treasury bonds selling off into the end of the year, ripped into 2014. We've seen this before. And it tends to be a macro theme. Like you see it in individual stocks, but it tends to be bigger. It tends to be bigger picture. And I think that the dollar's setting up for that. You've got speculators, the dumbest money on the planet, betting on a higher dollar now, right? After this ripper, now they're betting on a stronger dollar. You got the dumbest money in the world betting on a weaker euro, right? The largest net short position in the euro by speculators that we've seen since 2020 in years. So they're
Yeah.
betting on a weaker euro now after the euro's gotten slaughtered. So you got the smart money, you got the commercial hedgers fading this dollar move,
Yep.
buying euro very aggressively on this dip. Man, I don't know what's going to happen, but this has to be a prime candidate for
Hey, fail breaky. A little fail breaky here could really set things off into the new year.
it's certainly possible. What about, let's see.
And rates are rolling over, JC. Notice rates
I
this week?
do, and I think that they move together. The correlation's been there. Throw up slide 5. We talked about it yesterday, but it's not just what we're seeing in the dollar right now, but when you
Mhm.
zoom out on where this is all happening,
Yeah.
it is very interesting here, folks. And again, I don't know what's going to happen. I could just tell you how the market is positioned, or in my opinion, probably mispositioned. And it's our job as traders and or investors to take advantage of the mispositioning in by market participants. And I think that this extended trend in the dollars went from 100 to 109, 108, like that. I mean, that was some move in a couple of months. And now the speculators, the dumbest money on the planet, now they're betting on a rising dollar. I don't know. I kind of like the other side. But either way, regardless of what happens, we'll see what happens. But what I'm more confident about are the implications, right? So I would imagine a world where the dollar's breaking out of this base and ripping higher towards 113, 114. That's probably happening in an environment that stocks are probably under pressure, right? That's probably a major headwind for equities. That's probably a big problem. On the other hand, if the dollar were to roll over here and get back in the box, as you call it, seems like quite the tailwind for equities and other risk assets, cryptocurrencies. You're looking at Bitcoin at 120, 125. How do you like where my head is at going into Q1? You think that makes sense?
I don't think we absolutely need it. But if the dollar were to get slammed back into the box here, I think that would be incredibly positive for risk assets.
You don't think we need it? See, I think we do. And by we, I mean, like, I think the equity market need to see a dollar roll over here to really get going. I think it's a need. I don't think it's a want. You think it's a want?
I would like to see the dollar back in the box. We talked about it yesterday. It's the most important chart right now, in my mind.
So it's a need.
I guess I don't want
The market needs it.
Yeah, I don't want this breakout to stick.
Yeah. All right. Let's see. I got a good chart for you. How about, so here, throw up slide 6. So this is a big theme. Whoops. So this is a big theme, as we know. We've talked about it again and again and again. Slide 6, and It's slide 7. So these are two big themes here. Whoops.
China's down big today. Is that because of the hack?
Tell me about the hack.
I don't
What
know.
happened in said hack?
I wasn't really watching the news yesterday. U.S. Treasury says its workstations were hacked and cyber attacked by China.
Workstations?
Yeah.
What is a workstation?
I believe like their laptops.
Got
China hacked. So this New York Times report: China hacked the U.S. Treasury Department, gaining access to workstations and documents. Okay.
I mean, that's about par for the course. That's like saying war in the Middle East. Like that's pretty standard. China's flat this morning. I'm not seeing China selling off. Where are you seeing that? I'm seeing K-Web up 50 basis points. I'm seeing FXI up a little bit. Yeah, where are you seeing that China selling off?
All right. Yep. Misinformation. Sorry.
Fake news, ladies and gentlemen. Fake news.
Correction.
China.
Yep. I was looking. Yep.
You're all now dumber. Can we throw up slide 7, and then we'll go back to 6. Throw up slide 7. So this is a great ratio. So this here we're calling this intra-sector rotation, right? So
Love it.
here's the English lesson of the day by third grade English teacher that gave me a C and kept me out of the AB auto roll. Fuck you, Miss Pedraza.
Whoa!
I know. I had an AB honor roll, and she gave me a C in English. So this is for you. Intra means within. Inter means between. So this would be intra-sector rotation. How am I doing? Huh?
That's right.
I've come a long way since third grade, huh?
Hey, look at you now.
Look at me now. I get paid to write things on paper. I get paid to draw pictures. You know, it's a wild world we live in, Mr. Strazza.
Look, this is a great chart. It's been semis, and I think this holds. I think this holds. They dig in here, right, and it's back to semis. That's not to say now that software is not a great place to be, right? They really rushed into these software stocks this quarter. I
want to give a shout out to Larry Thompson. Larry Thompson does a great job of calling me out on my bullshit. Not so much calling me out on my bullshit, but like, you know, he sticks it. You know, he plays that devil's advocate as good as anybody, respectfully. And you know, we've talked about it offline. He's like, "Oh, I hope you didn't take that the wrong way." I was like, "Nah, bro, you kidding me? This is amateur hour. You got to try harder." So Larry made a great point here. My question that I posed was, you know, this intra-sector rotation into semiconductors would be a positive sector rotation that we tend to see in bull markets, right? Semis need the bid. You made the argument that semiconductors and software are equivalent in terms of weighting in the S&P 500, about 11%, something like that, each of them, which is pretty high. For those people who didn't know, I think it's pretty high. Semiconductors and software, both double-digit weighting in the S&P 500. So he said that it's a wash if we lose software, right? So if you get the rotation back into semis and you lose software, then it's a wash. Yeah, but if you get the rotation back into semis and software remains strong, that's the bullish rotation. I would agree with that. Right? There he is, Larry Thompson in the house.
There he is.
What's up, Larry? You see what happens, Larry? Do you see what happens?
I gotta give Larry a call. Were you making the point that semiconductors are more risk on?
No, I was just making the point that rotation is the lifeblood of a bull market. I don't know if you heard that. I feel like I say that a lot. You know, do I say that too much, or do I not say it enough? I think I probably don't say it enough.
No, that's one of those things you can't say too much.
Yeah,
it's that important, right?
Sector rotation is the lifeblood of a bull market. Who taught me that? Was that Ralph? I think that was Ralph.
That's a Ralphism.
That's a Ralphism, right?
Yeah.
A lot of Ralphisms. Don't fight Papa Dow, JC. Don't fight Papa Dow. That's Ralph.
That's another good one. Another really good one.
Price is fact. It's never restated, right?
Harminder makes a great point. It's a thin trend line. It's an unusually thin trend line. Yeah.
Don't worry about that trend line. That trend line is like the least important thing on this chart.
Yeah,
Pay no attention to the trend line. We're more of like a horizontal kind of kind of trend line here, not so much the diagonal. So I apologize for anybody whose eyes hurt now because of my diagonal trend line here. But, just reiterating the higher lows, right? Little whipsaw, little how you doing, little oopsies,
So I'm working from the laptop, and I have different chart books on here than I do on my usual PC. So I thought it would be fun yesterday, right, in the spirit of the new year, to look back to the stuff that we were charting in January of this year, right?
What'd you find?
Throw these up. I thought this was fun. So I left the data unupdated. This is what they looked like. Actually, in fact, these were the charts. These were charts that I made when we were in New York City last year. Okay. These were fresh breakouts.
So this is January of 24, these charts.
Yeah, it wasn't like right at the turn of the new year. It's when we were doing Portfolio Accelerator. So a couple weeks in. This is probably late January. You had fresh breakouts here in some of the most offensive, most important sectors in the market. So financials looked like this. Okay. Now targets have been hit. This breakout was a valid one. And industrials. Here's what industrials look like. I'm not saying that 2025 can't be a good year like 2024, but these were fresh breakouts then, and they're not as fresh today. Would you agree with that? I mean, this was just happening. And guess what? Small cap industrials look the same. Aerospace and
mid cap industrials.
That looked the same. Throw up the capital markets one too, the KCE.
Yeah, throw up the KCE, because this was a big one, because this was a leader within financials.
Yeah, these were some of the best stocks of 2024. So again, I'm not saying that these trends are over. I think they continue to trend well in 2025, but they're coming from a different place, right? This was a fresh reversal. I mean, something like this, XLF or KCE, this was a base on base, right? So we have this massive structural bullish pattern resolution, right, that resolves right into another more tactical, but still primary trend base, right? So these charts just looked fantastic a year ago. And that's really it.
But when you have leadership like this, because remember, it was capital. Remember the names? It was capital markets. It was industrials. It was technology. Remember the Fab Five, if you will, that we were looking at, where if these particular,
that was
sectors of the markets were making new highs, breaking out of these bases, tough to be too bearish. This is even coming into like February or March, where I was getting a little bit more cautious as breadth was deteriorating. There were fewer names that were working. It didn't change the fact that bigger picture, the trends were still up. I was looking for that opportunity around, the spring to buy very, very aggressively. Like I remember thinking about this in March, be like, there's going to be a better time to buy stocks. Like this breadth is like non-existent. And there was, right? There was.
Yep.
And then throw semiconductors on an absolute basis there, slide 6, because let's get back to what's happening right now. I love that little exercise that you did. I do that myself, Strazza.
I didn't love the close yesterday, JC.
Listen, I wouldn't overthink the close on December the 30th. Just I think for all of us, I think we want to be a little bit careful overthinking some of those little idiosyncrasies. I think the big move's going to happen next week. I think that's when you're going to see the resolutions here. But this is in a box. It's in a box.
Let's see here. Yeah, it's still stuck in a range. I think XSD is giving you a lot better information right now.
Oh,
I'm sorry.
Your obsession with XSD. I don't know if I can handle this obsession that you have with XSD.
I don't understand why you don't like looking at things on an equal weight basis. It's simply better.
You know I do.
Better information.
You are the one that's always arguing that semiconductors should be looked at on a market cap weighted basis because that's the way the sector is.
I'm not always arguing that. I still think there's information and there's more market internals information when you equal weight it.
So equally weighted semiconductors, we're going to look at this right now. Equally weighted semiconductors.
When I'm assessing the health of a group of stocks, I don't want to cap weight it. When I'm assessing how the market is doing or how most investors are faring in their portfolios, then I want to cap weight it, sure. But it's two different things. Like we're talking
throw up slide, the new slide 2 here, folks. Just to give this is the equally weighted Semiconductors Index, which Steve Strazza, and I think I tend to agree when he says that, NVIDIA has a much larger weighting in market cap for good reason. Broadcom has a larger weighting in market cap for good reason. So here we are looking at the equally weighted semiconductors. Hasn't broken out yet. Looks a lot like small cap 600 index. Looks like the trannies, don't it?
It does. It does look like. You know what my brother said? My brother said we can't say trannies. I said, Joe, we say it all the time. He said, no, you can't say trannies. I said, you got to watch the show. We say it all the time. He said it's not.
Is this the transvestite thing again?
Yeah. He said you can't. He said we're going to get canceled.
You understand that
Yeah.
the Dow trannies have been around way before men started dressing as women, right? Like this has been going on for a lot longer. So like now because some random guys want to masquerade as women, like now you can't, they're not the Dow trannies anymore. You can't call them the homies anymore either because people are homeless. Like, come on. Move on.
You're right. We had the trannies first.
The trannies came first, and then they started masquerading. Listen.
All right. Hey, I'm with you. I'll tell him.
Yeah. Why don't we bring in Kenny? Let's see what he thinks.
It's been a long time coming. They ain't come from my club, they tugging. Putting up numbers, 99 pounds, and I still kept it 100. Hola. Yeah.
Oh!
Yeah, it feels like something's about to jump off in here.
Now we're going 82. It's for the grandpas in the house.
Yeah, let's smoke this one out now. Let's smoke it out.
You ever go to a skating rink? You probably have to go eventually with your kids.
I haven't been to a skating rink in a minute, but I used to go all the time. Because I used to go to summer camp, and in Miami, it rains a lot in the summer. So we'd go to they'd take us to Hot Wheels.
Right on, man. That song used to be like that's from like, I think 81, 82. They used to play that every time we were at this. And then I get my ass kicked by some Cousine. So
I think that the way that the roller skating rinks work is that they always play like 80s retro, no matter what year it is. Like they play
well,
that music.
I lived it, so I lived it first. Yeah. When I had to try
when I was growing up in the 90s, late 90s, going partying in South Beach, like my first like partying experiences, like Miami was having like this like retro renaissance where like all these songs from back in the 80s were coming back, and those were the songs they'd play at the clubs.
Oh yeah,
you know.
I mean, it really has come fully. So when I was going to the clubs back, it was you had disco, but then you morphed from house music into techno. And now it's come like it's back. It's so back. My kids are so bewildered that I know all this house music and techno, and I'm putting together a set list. They thought I was joking at one point. I'm like, no, seriously. I raved for like 3 years. Let's go.
I raved.
You
have to explain to them what those are. Do the kids go to raves these days? No, right?
No, it's a different kind of vibe. It's an event now. I mean, they're going to these EDM shows. There's 20,000 kids there. I mean, they're filling out stadiums, and I don't get it. But I'm sitting there watching the DJ like they're pretending to do stuff. When we went there, you had to match beats, you had vinyl, and you had records. Now it's just all on the computers. They're just speeding it up and adding sound effects, and they're getting paid $20,000 a night. These DJs.
Does that bother you?
It does.
It does.
It does bother me.
I could see that. All right, Kenny. Last day of the year. I've been really impressed with you lately by not caring where we are in the year. It's like, oh, Kenny, are you gonna, are you being more cautious? Are you taking it easy? Are you being careful? You're like, no, just another day, right? I appreciate that. I didn't see that coming, to be honest. You still feel that way?
Yeah, and you know what? It turned out to be exactly the same day. UVXY started to fall, and I don't know if I have the charts up yet because I'm just kind of waking up. But yeah, I mean, it was the correlation that's been working forever. UVXY was high. The market was a little afraid. UVXY starts to fall. The market found some buyers, and we got our 1 minute to the multi-day, and the trade worked out pretty well. And what's nice is that, we have a lot of new people in the room, and they all witnessed how beautiful that setup is and how wonderful that trade did work. And other than that, there really wasn't much to do. We spent an hour talking about the word squadouche. It's a technical.
Squadouche. I used that word yesterday.
Hang on a second. I got the African bottom drowning you out. Hold on.
It's a squadouche. Explain to the folks what a squadouche is.
Swadoosh is when the market's just chopping around. There's no follow through, upside or downside. It's kind of more or less doing the Andy Dufresne, but that's the last thing you want to see while you're sitting there looking for ideas. You know, the Andy Dufresne's nice after we get the coming out of that pattern, but we just spent about an hour and a half in chop. But then once the chop resolves itself, we had a little upward momentum.
Can we
The
see?
trade just showed.
Can you show us what you're talking about?
Yeah, hang on. Let me get the. I'll try to get the chart up for you. Give me 1 second.
So this is the Andy Dufresne, you know, waiting for the thunder to come out so that he could bang the thing, right? Like, you know how he's
Yes.
like waiting for the thunder?
You know
Like,
your
this is what's
references.
happening right now, right?
You know your references. So here, so if you have the charts up now, let me just. I'll show you the correlation. If I had both charts up on simultaneously, so again, unusual sell-off. And when something unusual happens, you just go that way. So I wasn't questioning what was going on. You know, usually we're bullish this time of the year, obviously. But, you know, here's the UVXY. So UVXY is your fear gauge. So fear is strong. And then it looked like we were like, all right, here comes the rally. And then they tried to fool us. But the roll is the big part. So when you had this monster candle down and then you broke down right here, as soon as UVXY gives it up, that's when you know the buyers are feeling a little bit more secure, and you'll see the correlation. Here's the roll on UVXY, and then finally the QQQ made its mind up. You see how it's an exact replica of the chart? So if you could actually flip it over, if you put a minus sign in front of the ticker symbol, it flips the chart over for you. Check this out. It's interesting. Minus QQQ. Sorry, I can't see QQQ. Bang. So it looks exactly like the UVXY chart now. And that's interesting also, if you guys never did that experiment, flip the chart over, because most people just see bullish all the time. So when you want to see reverse patterns, just flip the chart over and you see it a little bit more clearly. So interesting day, very nice. Again, it was the same day as usual. And I was just still looking for some shorts on the quantum stocks, but man, they just almost crushed me again. You know, I'm shorting rigatoni down here, thinking we're going to roll over, and next thing you know, you're more or less Andy Dufresne and Kardashian bottom, and we're flipping the script. And you know, yesterday was a clinic on patience. It was a clinic on just accepting what the market's doing and just joining in, because like I said, I was shorting this stock and then it sets up the pattern, which is my favorite long. I got to suck it up, Buttercup, and get involved on the upside. But you know, little FOMO got me, as a matter of fact, on this one. This was the QBTS. Moral of the story, that's me top ticking it. Trading is hard. So every once in a while you make a mistake. Everybody else was going green. This one broke the high of the day and then quickly rolled over. But again, as I was trading this live, I tell people, listen, this one doesn't look good. Let's just cut this loss off before it gets worse. And look at it, it got a lot worse. And that's the essence of trading. As long as you could survive the squadooshi, choppy days, those are the days where you learn how to be patient and how to, you know, just work through those days, and you're a better trader the next day. And here we are.
I got to tell you, if you haven't spent time in the room with Kenny, you really don't know what you're missing. I've been watching emails and feedback hit our system for over 10 years. People love Kenny. Like, I don't want to like make your head any bigger, Kenny. You could leave now. But I'm talking to the other folks.
All right, I'll go into the other room where my wife's sitting. She'll set me straight immediately.
Yeah, she'll set you straight. But dude, seriously, like you really are like a legend. Like Louis Sykes, right? He like looks at like, you know, the emails he sends out. He looks at his open rates and click-through rates. He's like, how does Kenny have such huge open rates and click-through rates? It's like, bro, nobody knows who you are. Kenny is a legend. And he's like, his head's like exploding. It's like,
That's
bro,
funny. I appreciate it, man.
If you're out there listening, we just dropped the link in the chat. Join Kenny. Go see what he's doing throughout the day. I mean, it really is mind-blowing. Very entertaining, too, in case you were wondering.
And we're going to go all night. I'm going to leave the room open. So I'm going to go 82 house party. I'm going to evolve into some techno, devolve back into some native love and girl, I house you. And then 10:30 to midnight, we're going full EDM. So stick around. The room's going to be up. The lights will be on, and we're going to party all night.
Kenny is the go. All right, Kenny, you're the man. Adios.
Happy New Year, guys. I'll see you soon.
Eric Harris says, best trading room on the internet. Hit the bid. Strazza's dad is in the chat, in the thing with Kenny. What does your dad say? We got to get your dad in here for some testimonials.
He's truly enjoying himself. I just want to second all of these comments. Kenny is one of a kind. I don't know who's having more fun trading than the folks in Kenny's room.
Yeah, no, it's true. It's wild. We got to bring back some of Kenny's old videos and some of his old bits. We got to bring them back because Kenny,
Kenny
we used to dress up as Wall Street Jesus and like stand out in the Federal Hall building overlooking the New York Stock Exchange, giving people stock recommendations. I mean, this was out of control. This is out of control.
So I'm looking through the equipment. Speaking of old videos, in my old office here, and I was talking to Patrick yesterday. I'm like, look what I just found. We had the chart report. I got it somewhere. The chart report logo on this. And Pat said, we should do another man on the street. It's been like 6 years.
No, I know. It's been about 6 years and about 60 pounds at least, right?
Yeah, the good old days. But we should do another one, and
Strazza's not a dad yet, but working on that dad bod, right? Working on it good. You got any bacon there next to you this morning?
I have a great dad bod.
Yeah.
No bacon. We did bacon, egg, and cheeses. Yeah. We didn't go to the Country Cow though. I wasn't going to do that drive first thing.
Country Cow. Shout out Country Cow. Shout out Black Rock Turnpike. Is that right? Is that right? Country Cow?
Yeah. We had some great sandwiches yesterday. So whoever called that in the chat, great call. We did. Fantastic sandwiches. The best sandwiches really in the world up here.
Best sandwiches in the world. Wow. Connecticut seems to have a lot of the best things. I'll take the under. Why don't we bring on Brian Lund? I would argue he has better Vietnamese food than Connecticut.
We don't do that well here.
No, you don't do. They don't have those folks didn't make it to Connecticut. They stopped right there where BC Lund lives. Bring them out. Bring them out. Yo, Jay, we've been friends for a long time. Make the call.
I mean, this is pretty professional, guys.
Nice show you got going here.
Oh, Mr. Brian Lund, how are you, my friend?
Gentlemen, nice to see you on the last day of the year.
Hey,
last
Brian.
day of the year. How are you thinking about it? Like, you've been at this for a minute. This isn't your first cycle. How do you do things differently this time of year? Do you not? Like, what is life like in the Lund household these days?
Well, it's funny you asked that. So the 31st, New Year's Eve, is a big event here. We have a tradition where we have a lot of people come over for dinner. We ring in the new year. And it's probably a good time to give you a shout out, JC. I know your viewers know that you are a sommelier and you are a wine expert. And you've been very kind over the years. Like, I'll text JC and I'll say, hey, I'm going to have this tonight. What's a good suggestion? And so yesterday I hit JC up about what we should serve at our New Year's dinner. And so I picked up that bottle that you suggested of that Boone's Farm.
Oh, wow.
I think this is red flavor. And I got I did what you said. I got the fresh one, right? This doesn't expire for like 6 weeks. And then of course, everyone knows that you ring in the new year with champagne, and the best champagne, real champagne, only comes from the Champagne region of France, a northern region. But JC was telling me there's a better region in Italy, right? And it's called Champale. So I went out and I got some Champale, right? This Martini and Rossi Champale. According to the bottle here, this won 6th place in the 2008 East Pacoima Chug Off. So I'm looking forward to your recommendations, JC. Thank you so much.
What a dick.
Oh, God.
We are all now dumber. Thank you, Mr. Brian Lund. Your sarcasm is duly noted. Don't listen to anything he said. Don't drink any of that. All that stuff is going to kill you. There's
red flavor's not good. You don't like red flavor wine? That's not.
Can I see the Boone's
Farm? There's poison in there. They put glue in there. That stuff will kill you.
That's good stuff. Yeah. Sure.
That stuff will kill you.
So I'm going to tell you something funny. You talked about Vietnamese not getting to Connecticut.
How you get fired on your day off?
That's actually where my wife's family first landed in the United States. That's where they first sent them, was to Connecticut, a little town in Connecticut. And my wife had never seen snow, right? And she still tells the story to this day. The first Christmas there, the church had a little, function for all the refugees. She came there and they served something she'd never seen before called pigs in a blanket, right? Now, people know pigs in a blanket are sausage wrapped by pancakes, but being the very practical immigrants they were, when my wife and her family went up there, they just took the meat out, right? They left the pancake part. They're like, we don't want that shit. We want the meat. So we actually went back there a couple years ago and visited the town.
Where?
So
where?
I'll have to look it up. It's a
Yeah, what-
cute little town. It looks exact. She says it looks exactly like it did when she got there in
Or
'75.
maybe it was hard hitting New Britain. Maybe.
Yeah, I don't know.
Maybe Bridgeport, Connecticut is lovely this time of year.
It's not one of the well-known names. So
You know how many towns are in Connecticut? It's crazy.
yeah, well.
They're like a towns kind of state. Other states don't have towns.
So the idea is they didn't want to overwhelm one community with too many immigrants, so they spread them out throughout the United States.
Who's they?
And then after a year, they were allowed to then go wherever they want. And so a lot of people went to Houston because a lot of Vietnamese were fishermen, right? So they went down by the Gulf, and then a lot were out here in California because Camp Pendleton, which is down in San Diego, was a major refugee center for the Vietnamese. So there's the largest population of Vietnamese outside of Vietnam is right up the street. And then there's a big population in Houston and in various other parts of the country.
Good eating there. Good eating, the Vietnamese, man.
It's good eating. Had some yesterday.
You eat Vietnamese food a lot, I bet.
So I don't know how you are with Cuban food, but like my wife can't be away from Vietnamese food for more than maybe 3 days. Like when we went on our honeymoon, we were in Germany. And she like went through like withdrawals because she hadn't had Vietnamese food. So here's a trick I'm going to give all you kids out there. If you ever want to find Vietnamese food in any town in the world where you've never been before, here's how you do it. You go find a pharmacy, right? And if there are any Vietnamese that live in that town, there will be a Vietnamese pharmacist. And then you ask them, hey, where's the Vietnamese food? That's how it works. So.
Yeah. Are Vietnamese are they
I didn't know
pharmacists?
that.
Is that a thing?
Yeah. So here's the thing, right? The holy trinity in the Vietnamese culture is doctor, lawyer, or engineer, right? You have to be one of those, right? But there's a substrata of doctor that you don't have to quite do as much work to get to that kind of gives you the shine of being a doctor. That's pharmacist or chiropractor. So a lot of Vietnamese, also dentist, which I guess that's kind of a doctor. So a lot of Vietnamese
Doctor
end up being a pharmacist. And like I said, if there's one living in, we did it in Cologne, Germany. Like I'd never been there before. We found a pharmacy. There's a Vietnamese gal there whose family had settled, right after the war.
That really worked.
Yeah, she only spoke Vietnamese and German. And my wife said, "Where's the Vietnamese place?" She said, "Fuzz shop right down there."
Oh, all right.
That's great.
I love the history lesson. I'm into it. Now, BC Lund, there's a stock market that is open all day today. Fun fact, all day. So the day before, I think it's the day before July 4th. They shut a half day. Day before Thanksgiving, or the day after Thanksgiving is a half day.
National Day of Mourning next week will probably be shut, right? One day.
Well, the 9th is going to be shut.
Thursday, right? Yeah. Okay.
Right. Next Thursday, the 9th. But today, Christmas Eve, it was half day. Today, full day, full trading session today on the New York Stock Exchange. Market-wise, other than the poisonous wine that you're showing off there, you can't drink that. It'll literally kill you. There's like poison in there. They put glue in
Champagne, dude. It's you said it's the new thing, so I'm just going for it.
I'm thinking to myself, I'm like, he didn't text me yesterday, and if I did, I feel bad because I didn't text him back. Seriously, like, how do you think about the market this time of year? Are you trying to do less, or are you like Kenny? It's just another day.
Yeah, so you were talking to Kenny and you said you admired the fact that he just looked at it like any other day. I'm the opposite, right? Since Thanksgiving, I've been trying to shut this year down because it's just been a great year, and the market just keeps giving opportunities. And it's like I'm Pacino in Godfather 3. They just keep pulling me back in. So I've been fairly active until maybe like a week and a half, right before that big drop. I put some January 17 kind of lotto option plays on some beaten down names I think may get a little bit of a bid after the first of the year. Got a little bit of NVIDIA. I've got a little bit of Palantir, but I'm not doing a whole lot right now. Look, I'm at the age where it's a quality of life thing, right? I want to be able to make money, but I also want to be able to have, I don't want to watch every tick. I don't have EDM music going on in the background like Kenny. I'm not made that way. So.
And when you say that when you say the quality of life, is it because if you had big positions on this time of the year, you'd be distracted with the market instead of focusing on family stuff? Is that kind of what you mean?
Yeah. So Steve and I have talked about this before. I believe active trading, right, where you're watching every tick, where you're actively intraday trading, I believe it skews more as a young man's game. I think as you get a little bit older, more mature, you move to like swing trading. And then if you're able to, even position trading. So I try to be a little bit more on that swing position side. I think you get more bang for your buck in terms of the ratio of work and attention and profit. Unfortunately, the market doesn't always give you those conditions. When the market doesn't give you those conditions, I used to kind of get in there and fight it a little bit. I still scalp a little bit. More often, I just step back and I say, I'll just wait till I've got some tailwinds and be less stressed out. Look, I've got kids, I got a wife, I have other things outside the market, so I just want to keep a good balance.
Yeah, and you're not alone in that, Brian. That we have spoke to a handful of traders on our Off the Charts podcast, Sean and I, who have similar stories. A lot of trend followers, you hear that a lot. They lengthen their time frame, kind of over time with experience as the years go by. So seems to be, yeah.
Speaking of that, so I have this new meme that I'm trying to get to go viral, and it's the meme of Tom Basso, right? Just sitting there doing his calm thing, right? And I know you guys just interviewed him, and I can't wait to. Can you give me any tidbits from that interview? Because I've always, ever since I read Market Wizards, something about his chapter I was always really interested in. So I'd love to hear what some takeaways you got from him.
The biggest, Tom just has a special vibe. I don't think that's any secret. I think that's why so many people are really drawn to him and look to him as trading mentor. He also just shares so much, just an overwhelming amount. His website is incredible. He's got so many resources, always sharing stuff. But when he's one of those guys, when Tom Basso talks about trading, you're listening to him and you're like, wow, this guy's really figured something out, because he's so zen about it. He's got this calmness to him. And other traders are definitely attracted to that. It just seems like, that's a guy you want to learn from.
Yeah. And I'll tell you what, and JC, this, right? Because back when we were trying to learn about trading, it was so hard to get really good information, right? To get access to experts. And I think a lot of people out there right now, they don't realize how lucky they are. I mean, to be able to have an hour with Tom Basso, like a legend, it's so invaluable, right? There's so many resources out there for younger traders these days that we just didn't have,
As we're talking
100%.
to him, like halfway through the interview, he goes, I'm having I had one of my best days of all time today. So calm about it. And it was right after we had this massive down day, the worst day of the year, whatever, 2 weeks ago. He's like, yeah, I just had my best day ever. We're like, what? Why didn't you say something? So.
In the Paul Tudor Jones chapter in Market Wizards, he talks about his mentor. His name was Eli. I can't remember his last name, but he was a cotton trader. And one of the things Jones said is that you could be having a conversation with him and you wouldn't know whether he was down massively or up huge, right? Because he was always just so calm and composed, right? And I think that's that Zen quality that we all, aspire to. It's hard to get to, but that's, I think, where we'd like to get.
Totally.
I've gotten a lot better over the years.
You're not Zen. There's nothing Zen about you, my friend.
That's not true at all. That's not true. You didn't see me when I was dude, I used to trade natural gas inventories, on Thursdays at 11 o'clock or whatever it used to be, like a maniac, like the options on leveraged ETFs. I was slinging, man. And, to Brian Lund's point, it's a young man's game. It's a young man's game. It's a dumb man's game, as it turns out. Also, doing that sort of thing. So I don't know nothing about no Godfather anymore. I have become more Zen. I've been looking for uncorrelated strategies. I've been doing other things, and my resting heart rate and my blood pressure is definitely better. I'm definitely healthier, both physically and mentally, than I was then. I'm with you, BC. There's nothing wrong with evolving and maturing as a trader, as an investor, as a market participant of any kind. It's an evolution. I say embrace it rather than try to fight it.
So let me ask you this, JC. Has any of your evolution as a father, because you're a fairly new father, right? You got 3 kids and you have to have a certain level of patience, right? Has any of that bled over into the way you view markets or anything else?
I would say probably it's just been a great distraction. Having the kids helps me get away from the market, whether whether I like it or not. It's kind of like skiing. Like I'm trying, like when you're skiing, like you can't be worried about where the futures are because you're trying not to die.
Right.
Like the kids, when the kids are screaming, something's wrong with the kid, you're trying to put the kid down, trying to feed the kid. Like you're not thinking about, oh my God, where's Bitcoin? So
Right.
like, if anything, it's probably helped, create that distraction. You talked about how I'm a sommelier. Part of the reason why I went through the curriculum and actually like took the time to become a sommelier was as a distraction to my day job, right? I found it to be so therapeutic to sit down for an hour and learn about rivers in France, and I was like, wow, this is great, because it's hard. So when something that's difficult that you have to concentrate on, you have to forget about all the other stuff. So this must have been what, like 2018, 2019, it was great. So this is like that, except no, there's not a test. I guess you're tested every day.
Right. Well, and the thing about the kids that's even different than sommelier is, right, it's attention, but it's also perspective, right? Because like you said, like if your kids are sick, who gives a shit what Bitcoin's doing, right? So
right.
Yeah.
Right.
Steve, you'll be there. You'll be there, Steve.
I got 3 of them. One of them's always sick, so I got to worry about Bitcoin anyway.
The odds say one is going to be sick at some point. Yeah,
dude. If one of them falls, his freaking fingernails falling off, then the other one, falls off the couch, and then the other one. I mean, there's just always something.
How's your daughter adapted to? She was the only one for a while, right? How's she adapted to not have just one but 2 brothers? That's got to be tough.
Listen, she's been great. When the boys first came, she was very confused. She's like, "What do you mean, mommy can't just hold me all the time anymore?" She's like, "What the hell? These guys aren't leaving; they're just here every day now." So that's how her first reaction was, which is understandable. And then over time, and then she just ignored them completely for like months. Like they would be crying and she would pretend like it wasn't happening, like they weren't like literally right next to her. And then over time, like now she like looks after them. Like we went to Disney the other day. We pulled into the airport and she's like, "Look, buddy, this is the airport. We look at the airplanes. We get on the airplane and it takes us to Disney World." And like, she's explaining to her brothers what happens at an airport. It's cool.
Yeah. I heard about your Disneyland excursion and your long Disney, right? Because of how much you financed their company.
Dude, how can you not be long Disney? Like,
did you know?
I get it. Especially with the extreme Republicans that are not buying Disney stock because whatever for whatever reason, like Snow White isn't white anymore, and like whatever, right?
Right.
And by the way, to be fair, people are more than encouraged to have opinions on anything. What I would consider an extremist, whether Republican or liberal, extremist is somebody who lets their political views impact their decision-making in the stock market. Like that to me is that line that makes you extreme or not. Like you're welcome. And by the way, you're welcome to be extreme. I don't really give a damn. My only point is that there are Republicans out there, and it's not just Republicans, but primarily that are very angry at Disney for a variety of different reasons. Valid or otherwise, not what the point I'm trying to make, but that is true. That is a real thing. Go woke, go broke sort of situation, right? And the stock is sold off, and it's at support, and it's a great American brand, as Steve Strazza likes to call these things.
Yes,
right.
Love
I think you gotta buy it. And when you see this racket that's going on down there in Orlando, holy shit! I paid $50 for balloons on the way out of the park. $50 for fucking balloons.
I have talked
if you can't beat them, join them is how I look at it. I'm long. They should charge more for the balloons.
I've talked to so many people who were just recently in Disney. You almost overlapped with Todd Stone was there like a day after you too.
I think it's the same trade as Tesla. All the libs were just like angry at Elon this summer and the Trump and blah blah blah.
Yeah.
And Tesla has been the best winner in the last 6 months on Earth. The libs got their faces ripped off. What do they call it? Owning the libs, I think they call it.
Yeah.
That's what Tesla did. It owned the libs. I think Disney is the same trade on the righties.
Yeah. Well, look, you can look at the whole ESG movement, right? We've seen what's happened there. But I've always said there's no more delusional investor and person than someone that thinks they shouldn't invest in a stock because of their political or social views. I always say this, right? I'll give you an example. Altria, which is like one of the best stocks over the last 30 years, right? They make cigarettes, cancer stock, or, got it, whatever. You not putting your 1,000 shares or your 500 shares into Altria is not going to make a damn difference. if you're so high and mighty on your causes, invest in Altria, make a ton of money, and then donate it to an anti-cancer cause, right? I mean, do something that's real, but don't take a stand on Twitter and tell me you're not going to invest in Disney because they're woke, or you're not going to invest in Tesla because they're MAGA. It's just stupid, right? It's like playing football. It's like playing football with soccer rules, right? It's like it doesn't make any sense.
Hold on, but let's remember something. People are allowed to do that.
Of course.
People in this country have the right to make those decisions.
The United States of America. That's right.
And to be fair, there's nothing wrong with that. If that's how you want to live your life, knock yourself out.
100%.
But for us, we're going to see that, and we're going to take advantage of that.
That's right.
And we're going to try to make money off of what we think are foolish decisions. Again, you're welcome to do that. Knock yourself out. In this country, you can do that. Go for it. But that's not going to stop us from taking that money from you, right? We're going to do that.
Right. This is the advice I give my kids or a friend, right? Everybody else, do whatever you want. I'll take the other side of it.
Right. There's a really cool ETF.
Champagne. Did I mention champagne?
Oh,
you know.
And what about these criminals putting orange juice in their champagne? You got to be some sick fuck.
Or how about
orange juice in your champagne?
So there's this trend in craft beer, right? So you're at a shitty craft brewery when they have a blood orange IPA. Like anytime you're doing flavors like that, you're covering up the fact that you don't know how to make beer.
It's funny you said that, because in California they do that with the pizza. The more shit you have to put on the pizza, the more you're hiding how bad the pizza is. Right? California they're putting like broccoli on their freaking pizza, ridiculous shit like that.
Yeah, that should be death penalty right there. Broccoli on pizza.
But I get it. In California, like the pizza's so bad for the most part. There's some exceptions, but the pizza's so bad, like you have to hide how bad it is. I get it.
Do we have to start this debate? This is that debate. Like there's no good pizza makers came to. Are you going to tell me it's the water next, right? Or
no. I said there are exceptions, and I've been to those exceptions. There's a place in San Diego that's awesome. Strazza, remember? What's the name of that place? Lindson's place. I remember I was very excited to make fun of Howard Lindsson. I'm like, oh, you flew all these New Yorkers over here to take us to a pizza place?
Brian,
and I couldn't make fun of him because it was actually good.
This is where we went to for Oktoberfest.
Yeah, that was good.
What was that place called? Pizza was fine. Great charcuterie.
It was okay. I mean, I wouldn't say that was great. It was okay. I mean,
it was way better than I thought it was going to be. I'll tell you that.
Yeah.
But like you have to know where you are. Like I was in California. That was pretty damn good pizza.
Yeah. Yeah, on a relative basis, it was off the charts. I mean, talk about pizza alpha in the state of California, right?
Yeah.
That was really something. All right, guys.
Let me tell you, the pizza in Connecticut, man. Wow. If you haven't had the pizza in Connecticut, just come here. Just for that. Just for that.
Now, is that close to that type that Portnoy likes? What does he like? He likes the one that's kind of burned on the bottom, right?
He likes New Haven style pizza.
New Haven.
That's Connecticut.
I don't think I've
ever
had
that. But I will say this. I'll give people in California the credit. The tacos on the East Coast are way worse than the pizza is on the West Coast. That is a fact. I will die on that hill. The tacos on the East Coast are spectacularly bad. Like there are just Mexicans just never came. They said, no, we're gonna stay over here. And it shows. The tacos are so bad, dude. They're so bad.
I don't disagree. Yeah.
Are you really disagree?
I've got 3
more about tacos. You live in Florida.
I said I don't disagree.
I've got like 3 burrito places within like a stone's throw here that are just amazing. They're just off the charts.
You crush it. All right, listen. Final thoughts. We're gonna end the show early today. I gotta go. I have a scheduled sensual massage with my wife. A little New Year's Eve massage.
You guys enjoy it. That's so cool.
Yeah, it's gonna be nice.
Thanks again for the suggestion, JC. I appreciate it. I'm looking forward to this. So.
Hey, don't drink that shit. That's gonna kill you. You know it's gonna kill you, right?
Don't party too hard tonight, Brian Lund.
Brian Lund. What time you go to bed tonight?
9 o'clock on my chart book, like this, asleep.
9 o'clock. Steve Strazza, are you partying tonight?
No, we're still sick. No, we're not. No, we're.
You're not going to Stanford, little art bar.
Nope.
No.
Hey, real quick. ANF, good base. ASTS, good base.
Oh yeah, we talk about stocks on this show usually.
ASTS,
Roblox, I think coming out of stage 1. DocuSign. Why are airline and oil stocks doing so well? I don't think that's a great sign short term. Anyway,
ASTS, Andy Dufresne since the summer.
And you got a little shake there yesterday. Did you see that? They tried to break it yesterday. I'm just saying.
They did, yeah, they did. They did.
Break it. Pay attention.
I like fading the dollars. I like fading the dollars here.
Brian,
I think that the dollars sell off. We're already seeing a little oop-de-loop in the treasury bonds. Buy bonds, sell dollars. Buy
Brian,
bonds, sell dollars. That's the New Year's resolution.
We'll have to have you back next year to actually talk about the market.
Yeah.
New Year's resolutions,
we'll have to have you
ladies and gentlemen. New Year's resolution. Steve Strazza, got anything good?
No, I don't have anything yet. Just going to
PC Lund?
To drink more champagne.
You're an idiot. What an idiot. But I will say the Daniel
East Pacoima chug off. That's a pretty good reference right there.
I want to go to Brian Lund's party.
My New Year's resolution is to drink more New World wine. I'm an old world guy.
What is that? What's for us newbies? What's New World? What area would that be? What would that be?
It would be like anything that's not like that core. So old world's going to be France, Italy, Spain, Germany, right? Portugal. That's old world, Greece, right. And then New World's going to be California, Argentina, Chile, Australia, right? New World. So I drink a lot of old world wine because that's my palate. That's my preference. I like the higher acidity, less of the fruit bombs. But I make New World wine, but I make it with an old world style. But technically I make New World wine. So my New Year's resolution is to drink more of it. See what happens.
That's and you've got that blood orange style coming out, right? There
is orange wine. I'm not a fan. Orange wine is just white wine that they make the same way that they make red wine. So that's why it looks orange.
When I went to the store yesterday, I was like, what's the shittiest wine I can get, right? And I was like, oh, Boonesberry Farm. Like, that's the
Dude,
one.
They literally put they put poison in there. You know that, right?
It's $1.99 on clearance.
Well, you get what you pay for in life. Listen, last lesson of the year.
I'm going to use it to strip the paint off my wall later. So
listen, if you want to drink cheap wine, there's nothing wrong with drinking cheap wine. But if you're going to be drinking cheap wine, make sure it's from Europe. Because you see, they have rules over there. In America, cheap wine, they put glue in it and poison. In Europe, they're not allowed to do that. So if you're going to go cheap, it's okay.
Glue and poison, right? Yeah. I saw that in the label.
I swear to God, I'm not making this up. They're poisoning you. In Europe, they can't do that. They have rules. This isn't Nam. There are rules.
Well, that's the Fruit Loop thing, right? That's where Bobby Kennedy's going to get in there. We're going to have all new rules.
No, it's true. That's part of it. No, you're right. That's right. Yep.
We have to address some things in the chat before we go. JC, the chat's just great today. We did used to drive to Port Chester after the bars would close. The best sandwich in Connecticut is Gaetano's. There are a number of locations in Fairfield County. You want to eat at Gaetano's. That's where you get your sandwiches. The pizza in Connecticut, yes, believe it or not, is better than the pizza in New York. But they're both excellent. That's all I got. Happy New Year, everybody, and thank you guys for all of your support this year.
Brian Lund, love you, my man. Happy New Year.
Happy New Year's, guys.
I will see you on the flip side. Buy bonds, sell dollars. Buy bonds, sell dollars. Adios.
Buy champagne. See ya.
Don't.
I can't take no loss. I don't even know what it costs.